listening to the KINGDOMLUM podcast from the L.U.M.
Hello out there in fantasy land. It is your host, KINGDOMLUM, brought to you by the L.U.M. and the channel Small Town Underground. How is everybody? I hope you had a good Thanksgiving and happy Black Friday. If we can even use the term Black Friday, right? In this crazy world we're living in. All right, I got a full show for you tonight. Fresh off a vacation, a little getaway, and fresh into my first community strike on YouTube for my episode 3, which if you had went back, you can still look at it on Rumble, and it's still out there. I'll try to keep it out there. Basically, I got my first community strike for promoting election fraud, which I thought I did a pretty good deal of showing my information and where it came from, and not even focusing on election fraud, just kind of painting a picture as to how people viewed the election process before 2020 election and how they view it now. So apparently pre-2020, it was okay to talk about how bad our election system is, but now if you talk about the past election or what's going on, I guess you get banned off everything and you're called a crazy conspiracy theorist and blah, 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 blah. But thank you, YouTube. You proved my point. I couldn't have asked for anything better because me getting a community strike for what I was talking about just proves my point. I thought it was hilarious. So I'm not the least bit scared. I really don't care about it. I told you I didn't think this channel would last long. And there's nothing that YouTube can do to me that's going to hurt my feelings or cause me to lose any sleep. Because actually, there's doing something like this requires time and effort. And especially if you want to try to present good information, truthful information that you have to research and look things up and make sure that you're right about it. You know, it takes a lot of time. And so we're in the 5th episode here. And I'm just looking for every single available minute of time that I have to present this information and bring it out to whatever masses will receive it. And if I get shut down, guess what? No big deal. I'll keep fighting because I won't stop. So, a major thumbs down, dislike to YouTube for my community strike. So that happened, and I'm guessing that I will probably get another one, and I'm not going to remove any information. And I did send an email. That was like an arbitration thing. They said, "Oh, you can arbitrate this or whatever," and I simply put down what the meaning of the episode was, and naturally I haven't heard anything back, but kind of makes me feel important. I already got community struck. That's crazy. Anyway, welcome to the show this evening. I'm doing this, this is Friday. It's about 10 p.m., 35 in my neck of the woods, and I got some interesting stuff to bring to you tonight. I'm not going to do the part 3 on voting yet, simply because I'm going to let this thing go for a little bit, and I thought I had everything worked out in my head about it, but I read some interesting stuff over the weekend. It just made me completely disheartened. I'll go ahead and talk a little bit about that. I read the article where a private citizen found a whole lot of discrepancies in the voting process in Georgia, and so our fearless Governor Kemp decided to write mean letter saying he wanted it looked into. And though the article stated about 17 times that this will not make a difference and this will not change the outcome, well, like I said, too little, too late, right? I mean, it is what it is, and we all know really what's going on. So I can just leave it at that, right? All I wanted to do was bring in a little different point of view and try to remind people about how long things like this have been going on, right? And how it's never been safe and it's never been justified. And here we are with it. You know, whatever. I mean, it really doesn't matter, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter because nothing's going to change, right? The system is going to keep rolling on and nothing's going to change. And these people are still going to feed us all this junk and it's just not going to change. And, well, I say it's not going to change, but my personal opinion is it's going to change in ways that we don't want it to change. And I don't know whether that's just a natural process of evolution or if it's as a one huge big planned thing from the get-go. But anyway, moving along. So I wanted to cover a couple of things tonight I thought was very interesting. Interesting. The first one is, this is published by or in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology, okay? I'm going to read this. It's not very long, but we'll discuss it a little bit. Research published in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology has revealed that hatred towards collective entities such as institutions or groups, but not individuals, can bolster meaning in life, right? Quote, I think that any casual observer of human nature recognizes that many prominent cultural figures or political movements gain a lot of steam when they have a clear, identifiable enemy that they are fighting against. I started reflecting more on why this might be, and it occurred to me that having an enemy, someone to hate, might energize people, explained study author Abdo Enakori, I believe, a PhD student at the University of Waterloo. Hatred might be a powerful motivating force, giving people a clear purpose against a worthwhile enemy. In other words, a life full of meaning. Well, that's certainly the biggest pile of garbage I've ever read, and this is the kind of crap that's being taught in school. Basically, if you go on, I'll try to post a link to this. This is just something that caught my eye, but basically, you don't hate the individuals, but hate the groups and make a group your clear enemy. Wow, how divisive is that? I mean, that's crazy. So you're basically saying it's healthy for me to just hate a whole group of people, right? But not the individuals, but you can hate the group. And to me, maybe I'm stupid, but that doesn't even make any sense to me. You're promoting hating people? I mean, what does that even mean? Well, that individual goes to church, but I hate the church or whatever. That individual's liberal, but I mean, it's just so stupid when you think about it. I don't understand that. I'm going to have to go into a little bit deeper research on that, but that just kind of floored me that this is something that was published in news, and it's all about hate. I mean, we just got to hate everybody. We got to hate all these people. I mean, what happened to just being a normal freaking person? What happened to just living your life and trying to get along with everybody? I mean, I just don't understand. And then this is the kind of stuff that social psychology is putting forward, that it's clearly evident that you're going to have a purposeful life if you just hate people. And I just don't get it. I mean, that's where we're at with things, right? So I will post, hopefully I've already posted the picture where you can kind of go to that link and look at that if you want to. I just thought that was very interesting. But also, a thing that caught my eye, on Wednesday at 1:21, NASA launched the Double Asteroid Redirection Test Mission, or DART, from a U.S. Space Force base in California. A 1,200-pound refrigerator-sized spacecraft will trek around the sun to slam into a small asteroid named Dimorphos at 15,000 miles per hour next year. If the mission succeeds, it could demonstrate for the first time humanity's ability to punch a potentially hazardous asteroid away from Earth. Wow. So you think you got problems, huh? So basically, now we're launching projectiles in space to deter asteroids. So I kind of went into a rabbit hole about that and realized that we have all kinds of supposed asteroids that get very close to Earth. Some of them hit. There was a really interesting story about one that hit in Russia. And it was a pretty while back, and they said that it was pretty powerful, worse than a nuclear bomb when it went off and everything. It's crazy stuff. So if you ever get down and out, you ever just think that your life is just crap, just think at any point in time we could be hit with an asteroid and then it's all over with. So I thought that was interesting, though. So there, your tax dollars is going to a DART system to ward off asteroids. Wow. Okay, so Thanksgiving was yesterday, and what a woke holiday it is, right? I don't know if it's even if it's legal to say Happy Thanksgiving anymore. Indigenous people's holidays, and now we're supposed to add hate in everything we do, so we can hate the groups and hate the settlers and hate Thanksgiving. And I'd say about in the last 24 hours, I probably read at least 15 different articles about the Thanksgiving truth, in quotation. And just about every article I read about the truth about Thanksgiving were all different. So I don't know. I don't even know what that means, but apparently everybody has their own version of the truth about Thanksgiving, and it just confuses me more than ever. So basically, Thanksgiving to me is being able to get together with family who you may or may not be able to see, break bread with them, and just be thankful for what you have in your life, right? If that's racist, if that's whatever phobic, I mean, who gives a crap? I mean, I'm so tired of hearing this crap. I mean, a lot of people don't. I mean, you might know, you might not know, but Christmas, for example, we celebrate the birth of Jesus on Christmas. Well, Christmas, if you trace it back, it'd be a pagan holiday. A lot of our holidays and things that we carry on were paganistic, but it doesn't mean that we can't celebrate it as Jesus' birthday. It is what it is. It's a holiday. It's designed for people and families to come together, but in the society we live in, they don't want to do that. They want to destroy the family. They want to destroy the nuclear family. So, I mean, is anybody's guess? I mean, for crying out loud, it's disheartening, but I had a good Thanksgiving. I was able to spend it with family, and nobody got mad, and no politics got brought up, and everybody was just stuffed and ready to take naps, and it was a great day. So that's the way I look at it. And if you don't look at it like that, well, I think you're a moron. I mean, Jesus, leave it alone. Quit picking everything apart. It's just Thanksgiving, you know. Even if it does have some negative connotivity to it or whatever, why can't you make it positive, right? It's about our reaction to it. So why can't we continue to make Thanksgiving a good day instead of tearing it apart? And like I said, don't tell me the truth about Thanksgiving, because there's about 15,000 versions of the truth about Thanksgiving, and I know what Thanksgiving is to me and to my family. So poop on that crap. So trying very hard to keep this PG, because sometimes this stuff pisses me off, and I don't want to get mad like that. So okay, let's move along a little bit. This is kind of a smorgasbord episode. Just got a lot of things. I was kind of basing my episodes on certain things, and I'll continue to do that, but I decided to break it up because my head's all kind of, in different places because of all the crap that's been going on. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the California looting. I guess where every day is Christmas, where we're seeing groups full of people walk into stores and rob the crap out of them, right? And they're just walking in with hammers and flash mobbing and grabbing everything they can get their hands on. I believe, let's see, Apple's been hit, Nordstrom. Most of this is going, on in California and in where else but cities, right? With a bunch of idiots. And it's going to continue, and it's going to spread, and it's because this gives people a reason and an excuse to loot and get as much stuff as they can and break the law, right? Because where is our incentive, which will be a future episode. I mean, where is the incentive anymore to be a good person? Where is the incentive to work hard and try to gain knowledge and do good and to be good and to build yourself and your surroundings, your communities up, right? It's not there. And so it's just like the welfare system and the social institutional systems. Like, they can be created in good. They can have things in mind that are for the good of the people. There's people that make them bad, right? Because people take advantage of the systems, and then, like for example, a welfare system. Like you're on this incentive program where you have no incentive to go get a job. You can just get your check every month, and then you get your food stamp cards every month, and then you just sit there and you don't have anything else to do, right? Because your all your bills are paid, everything's paid, you don't have much to worry about, and so then you can get into all kinds of bad stuff. I guess you can organize into flash mobs and do all kinds of smash and grabs and whatever you want to do. It's ridiculous, right? And so we're losing the incentive to do good, right? And it's very sad because there's a lot of people out there that want to do good and want to be good and want to just live good lives, and this is what dominates the headlines, right? And we talk about the flash mobs and see it going on, and they're just ruining everything, And especially when California did that asinine law where they upped or downgraded the felony to a misdemeanor of like $950. Well, I guess you can go and steal a couple computers if you want to. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. But what's not crazy in this world, right? And anybody in their right mind would just scratch their head and be like, what is this world coming to? So we got that going on in California. And on a little side note, I don't know if you heard about the Seth Rogen thing, which I thought that was pretty funny. Seth Rogen tweeted out, there was a man, trying to remember his name, and I'm going to pull it up here, but he's some kind of a YouTuber, and his car was broken into. A bunch of stuff was stolen out. There was blood on the steering wheel, all kinds of different things happening. And so he basically put on his Twitter account that he was very distraught that his car got broken into. And then Seth Rogen, the burnout idiot, come back and basically saying that's the price you pay for living in a big city, and I've been robbed. My car's been robbed 15 times or more, and I found a knife in my car, and you might even find a gift, and you shouldn't be bummed out. And I mean, it's just ridiculous stuff. I mean, so stupid, right? And so you read the articles, and you find out that Seth Rogen is worth about $80 million, and this other YouTuber worth about $16 million. So first world problems, right? I mean, talk about your privilege. The people that spew this kind of garbage and telling me that I shouldn't care whether my vehicle gets broken into, right? And it's just madness all around. I mean, these people have literally no idea. They can't relate at all to people like we that are out here working, trying to raise families, living paycheck to paycheck. And this is literally their mentality. And these are the people that are up on the TVs, and they're trying to tell us how to live and what kind of bad people we are for the way we live, right? And they can spew this kind of garbage, yet I try to bring up a documentary from 2005 and 2019 before election, and I get spanked by YouTube. I mean, this is crazy. It just proves my point, right? It proves our point. I mean, this is the kind of world that we're living in, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about the COOF tonight. If you haven't already heard yet, we have the latest COOF, which has come out as, well, let's see here, the variant. Let's see, they started out in Africa, and I'm trying to find exactly which one it was. They're called the B.1.1.1529. And apparently the waves are spiraling out of control again, lockdowns again. This variant, oddly enough, our vaccines don't seem to affect this variant whatsoever. So wonder where we're going to be at with that, right? So God only knows. It's just more and more and more coming, coof, and, vaccines, blah, 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 blah. It hits us at all angles, right? So who knows? We might all be dead in a month. I don't know. But there it is, folks. We have that to look forward to. Oh, by the way, if anybody's out there keeping track on the whole Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell, General Flynn. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on there. I'm not going to go into any of it. I've just been kind of watching it with my bowl of popcorn. Apparently, the Kyle Rittenhouse interview created some nasty stuff about Mr. Wood and the other lawyer, I think Pierce, and so now there's a whole bunch of God knows what going on. A lot of infighting going on with some of our more prominent people that were trying to patriotically work on things. So God knows if it's design or God knows who's telling the truth, who's lying, who knows. But it's not. It's actually disheartening to watch. I've been watching it very closely and keeping tabs on these people, and there's just some nasty stuff going on there. But that's just the way it is. I mean, it's divide and conquer all the way around. And like I said, the Republicans and the Democrats, everybody's divided. And, it's a sad thing, state of affairs. But, I mean, what can we do about it? Throw my hands up in the air and put it in the popcorn bowl. I'm going to watch it and see how this unfolds. But none of it's that good. So, brings me a little bit I want to talk about. Andrew Coffey found not guilty of murder, attempted murder in Indian River County SWAT raid. Now, I'm just going to cover these real quick because, I mean, if you look, first off, you can disagree or agree. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, you have to look at these cases on a case-to-case basis, and you look at the evidence and the facts. And regardless of what my feelings about Andrew Coffey and what he was doing or anything, I really think that the SWAT raid was handled very, very wrongly. And to me, everything that I can see, him being not guilty was pretty fair in that case, right? So that happened. There was a lot of things brought out. The girl that was killed, pretty much because of how the SWAT was conducted and handled, so that happened. Let's see. Let's go to, I don't need to cover Kyle Rittenhouse, right? I mean, we all, amen, Kyle Rittenhouse. That was a case that happened exactly, pretty much textbook, should be studied on how right that everything was in that case. And really goes to show you, too, about our justice system. And I'm not looking at this from like a racial standpoint, right? Because that's all a bunch of crap. Does that mean that there's no basis to say that our system has pitted against races? Absolutely not. We know that's the case, right? And as we go into the future, we understand that more and more, and I believe we're in a far better place than we were, 50 years ago. But that being said, this Rittenhouse case had nothing to do with race, and I'm glad he was acquitted. I think everything went right, and the prosecution, man, those guys are some slime balls, man. I mean, the things that they were doing and the evidence they were presenting to the defense that wasn't even the correct evidence, or the same evidence. I mean, they botched that case all the way up. And that guy, if you watched any of that trial, that prosecutor, man, what a douche. I mean, really, it's crazy. And I don't need to cover the mainstream. Look, if you're still getting your information from the mainstream media news reports, I mean, obviously you have no idea what's really going on. I mean, these people are so biased, it's not even funny, right? I mean, it's crazy. But so Rittenhouse happened, and that was a great case. It was great that the way it came down, right? Now let's talk a little bit Arbery. I believe that was also was a justified outcome of that case. And this is what's so funny about Rittenhouse and the Arbery case, right? For example, the Rittenhouse case had no race involved in it. The Arbery case had race involved in it. I still, if you watch the case and you see that they talk about the guy being a jogger, that is such slanted, like, for example, I don't think his killing was justified. I believe that the justification for these men being found guilty is absolutely justified, right? Because this was a much, much different case than a clear-cut self-defense case, right? But, I mean, it doesn't justify them for what they did, but the guy wasn't jogging, all right? They're painting this whole picture out to be that this man was doing absolutely nothing wrong, and it's just so slanted, it's hard to even talk about. I mean, because the way that they portray and Arbery is not being, just being there jogging. They should have just called the authorities from the get go and just let them deal with him, and without doing that, because I'm a bail bondsman. I have a lot of authority in my cases to do what I need to do to arrest somebody, but there are stipulations, and you can't just go off and just kill somebody like that, right? If you do, you better be prepared to for the outcome of that. I mean, I don't. It's not even an argument. There are certain things, certain protocols that we have to abide by, right? And a citizen's arrest on that kind of magnitude, and especially the video where you watch the video, okay, yeah, these guys should not have done what they did, and so it was justified. But my point to that was that if you look at the domination of the news headlines, right, and it was all about Rittenhouse, 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 and these people, these idiot news corporations are still calling it a racial thing, right, white supremacists and all this crap. Yet Arbery case had very little coverage whatsoever, mainstream. And why do you think that is, right? I'll tell you why that is because you get about 90% of all people, no matter what color you are, that can take a look at that case and they can say, yeah, they're guilty, right? And so there's no selling point there. There's no story there, because you can't create a division with the Arbery case, because all in the end, even if you are some sort of racist, white supremacy, whatever, and you look at that video, deep down, those people were guilty. They should not have done what they did to that man, right? Therefore, the Rittenhouse case, which is completely different, it's a totally justifiable self-defense case, yet there's all kinds of division that we can cause between this, because people have to take sides. You're either with him or you're not with him, right? So I'm just pointing out that that the Rittenhouse was a selling point, right? It was a way to keep you glued to your TV, because who cares in the grand scheme of things, right? And I'm not saying myself, I'm saying, but no, the media would say nobody cares about Arbery, because in the end they're going to be found guilty, and nobody can argue about that, but everybody can argue about Kyle Rittenhouse, right? See, my point is it's all slanted, and it's all made for division. What can we throw in front of you, in front of the TV, that will make you sit there and watch us, and we can sell you advertising? And it was Kyle Rittenhouse. No matter how much evidence, no matter how slanted, they're going to continue to divide people over Mr. Rittenhouse, and I think it's a shame. And somebody like Arbery, who did die in vain, I believe, just kind of gets overlooked, right? So let's cover Mr. Waukesha, or Mr. Darrell Brooks in Waukesha, right? So the suspect in the Christmas parade rampage killed 5 revelers, wrote an anti-Donald Trump rap, declared F the pigs, blah, 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 posted online. Chief Dan Thompson said there's no evidence the bloodshed Sunday was a terrorist attack, or that the suspect, Darrell Brooks, knew anyone in the parade, right? Acted alone. So there was nothing connected here, right? So Brooks, 39, of Milwaukee, left the site of a domestic disturbance, was not being chased. So it sounds to me like it was fairly premeditated. Has been charged with 16 crimes since 99, 2 outstanding cases at the time, which, I'll be honest with you, people make a big deal about this, the bail. This is another bail reform, right? So you want to just reform the system. It goes back to incentive. So it's not just about bail. It's about the whole court system. Like, what is the incentive for people to do good? If you take away the ability of consequence, then you're going to have people just do whatever in the world that they want to do at all the times, because there's no consequences, right? And part of bail bonding is to allow a person to get out of jail and come back to court so they can continue to work and provide for their family and to try to do better, all while not having to pay off the backs of the taxpayers, But a lot of people don't understand bail bonding. They don't understand what's going on. And if you reform this bail reform, it's just such a negative thing. It doesn't provide any kind of consequence or relatively any kind of security for these people that get out of jail. And so I can't really comment on the $1,000 bond, as it could have been a matter he might have been sitting in jail for a while and the magistrate lowered the bond. There's a lot of details in there that we will never know. But about this man, the funny thing that I've seen about this is that they continue to say that he's not been. They're not linking this as of course, a terrorist attack or anything like that. But if you go and look on all of they've taken down most of his social media accounts now, right? But this guy was some sort of crazed rapper who talked about killing people, killing white people, killing all kinds of people, doing all this stuff. And that kind of stuff is permitted on YouTube, right? You can be a rapper and you can talk about killing people and all this racial injustice stuff that they talk about, and you can run over kids and parade victims, but you can't talk about the election. I mean, what kind of world are we living in? I mean, this is insane, but it's insane by design, right? And we know this, and that's why we don't care about YouTube and all this other crap. We're going to do what we're going to do regardless, right? But it's still insane. This guy should be, man. Well, I can't really say that. God knows I'll probably get put in jail when I think. But this dude, let's just say his day of reckoning is coming, man. This is absolutely insane. We got people doing that. And then again, the narrative, right? And all the headlines talk about it wasn't a man, it was an SUV that did it. It was an SUV that ran into all these people, right? It's just crazy stuff. So we've got craziness going on all over the place, right? We've got big COVID news. We have all banning Mr. Jones. I guess they're subpoenaed for January 6th, which I'm not going to call it insurrection because it wasn't an insurrection, but that's what the narrative is, of course. And so I just think that's funny. And a lot of people are slamming Tucker Carlson for what he came out with. And I still, honestly, guys, I haven't seen it yet. I've been looking for it. I think you got to pay for it. I'm trying to find a version I can look at, but I have been gone for a few days. So I'm going to try to watch that because, of course, they're going to do everything they can to keep that stuff hidden. But I don't know, man. Between Bannon and Jones and Roger Stone and all these people that they're bringing up, they got one hell of a fight on their hands because they get those guys all in a room. Oh, man. I'd hate to be that, that rat in the corner. But so I'm just want to talk a little bit more about a new thing that's coming out. I'm hoping I'm not reaching a whole lot of people right now, so you guys can continue to like and subscribe and share it with people that you know. But I'm also going to be trying to upload a lot on Rumble, and I really don't know how Rumble works. I mean, I know how that works, but I don't know how to get reach. And why do we do YouTube, right? We do YouTube because YouTube is the easiest thing to do, right? It's easy to get on and create, and they're going to try to shut you down and shut you up and all that crap, but who cares? I mean, we got to do something to get in there some way. So, YouTube right now is the easiest way to get there, and of course I'm not monetized. Don't ever think I will be monetized, and could care less about it. I'm not doing it for the monetization, but they'll end up shutting me down, but I'll continue to post in other places. I'm doing it on Telegram. I'm going to try to update MeWe and Rumble this weekend and have all the episodes put up. So you can always check me out there, but I'll keep posting on YouTube until they take the channel down. So, but I want to let everybody know about Reset Wars, right? It is, you can go to band.video on your browser. You're not going to find it pretty much anywhere else, or freeworldnews.tv, and you need to look up resetwars.com. I don't really need to explain it here for fear of just, completely getting shut down, but I urge anybody that's listening to this to look up band.video or freeworldnews.tv and find the link for Reset Wars, join the waiting list, and hear about it first. I don't really know what it is, but I think it's going to be something really good. So I'm trying to get that out there to everybody. So resetwars.com. Should be some good stuff coming up in the future, right? So we've covered a few things. I'm not going to get into the vax and the coof. I'm not going to talk a lot about the coof because there's no reason to talk about it. I mean, literally stuff changes by the day on coof, right? And if it's not enough to have to worry about the boosters and the shots and all that, then you have to worry about, beef -1.1259, blah, yada, 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 yada. And it's just enough to worry about there. So you just do your own research on the coof stuff, because it's not even worth talking about to me, because it's just, we all know what it is. If you're hearing this channel, you know what's going on. So I don't really talk about that. So I want to kind of end here with a little story. So recently we took a trip to Disney World. We were only there for a day. We were actually somewhere else for the weekend, and we just decided to do a day, right, at the Magic Kingdom. And I'm going to be dead honest with you, all right? I'm not a big fan of Disney at all. My family is, I understand, so we all make sacrifices, and so I go, right? Well, I will tell you this. I'm trying to be fair, because even though I'm not a fan of somewhere like Disney, when you go into the logistics of somewhere like Disney World, where you literally have hundreds of thousands of people corralled in to these parks, and actually this entire, world, basically, it's an amazing feat. It's absolutely an amazing feat. Because let me give you a little bit of detail about Disney World. If you've never been, it's in Kissimmee, Florida, which is around Orlando. And of course, Disneyland was the one that was out in California, and the Disney World is in Orlando. And the reason it's in there is because was it? That's not Bob Iger. Anyway, I'm going off my head here, but the guy that started Disney and started the Disney World, which I think he died, but right before Disney World opened up. But they basically went down to Kissimmee, Florida, and land was cheap, really, really cheap. And they basically bought, well, I don't know how much he bought initially or the prices. You can do the research on it, but I know they own now about 40 square miles. All right, and people that don't understand Disney, that have never been, there's several parks. There's 2 water parks, 4 theme parks, and there's about 30 to 40 resorts, right? Now, this stuff is really spread out, and people don't understand. They're like, wow, I mean, how is this? This is not like going to one theme park. Well, basically, there's a lot of effort and a lot of time and planning into going into these things, and you can't just go in blindly. Like, you have to know, you basically have to plan out every hour of your trip if you're going to go to something like this, especially for a week, or, if you're going for a day, that's a little bit different, but you get a ticket for the resorts, and then wherever you're going to stay. And basically, once you get into I'm going to call it a compound, right, of the 40 square miles of Disney World, you basically park your car, and from then on, you're just walking and using all of their transit systems, which they have several different transit systems that will get you to places. They have huge bus stations that from in every aspect, every part, that will take you, bus you around. They have the monorail system that goes from theme park to theme park. They have the new chair rail system that'll take you to several different major hubs. So you're basically, other than you're walking around, you're inside of Disney, inside this 40 square mile, compound, and you're at the resorts. And I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it's a magical place, and I don't say that. I'm not trying to be facetious when I say that. It's absolutely insane that they can do what they do in these parks, and how clean they can keep them, and the history and what they've put into these places and everything. So it really is. It's something it's a sight to see. If you've never done it before, you need to try it out. Now, I'm just talking about overall. I'm giving you the big picture. I'm not going to go into the details about riding rides and blah, 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 blah. But one interesting thing I wanted to talk about was the FastPass system, right? Which is now called the Lightning system. But this whole system, if you don't know what I mean by that, it's like if you go to a theme park, let's say you go to like a Six Flags or Dollywood or anything like that, you can pay extra money and you can get a pass that will kind of put you in a different line where you can get on the ride a lot quicker, right? Now, a lot of people's like, oh, that's cheating, this and that and the other. I totally get it, and I'm one of those people that would not be caught dead at that amusement park, or at not just, I mean, like at Disney. I will pay the extra money for the Lightning Pass, right? Because I'm not going to wait in line. There's no thrill ride on the life is a thrill enough for me. I'm not going to wait 2.5, 3.5 hours to ride these rides, right? So my dear wife is somewhat of a a genius at understanding how it all works, and she puts in the kind of research to that stuff like I put in the kind of research that I do on my stuff. So, I'm in good hands with her because she makes everything very simple, very easy, and blows my mind at how easy that we can get around, right? With thousands and thousands of people walking around this park. So, believe it or not, I watched or listened to an hour and a half podcast about the entire system where you get these bands, these magic bands, and they have the FastPass, and all these bands are created, and they're basically your windows in and out of everywhere. You use your bands. You can use your bands to pay. Use your bands to get on rides. Use your bands to go around, and plus you can find people. They have RFID chips in them where you can find people. So just a little bit of history. There was one industrial engineer that had came up with this system, and this system was decades ago, and they've revised this system quite a bit over the last few decades, right? Basically, all in all, Disney spent over $1 billion to kind of implement these systems. And in the grand scheme of things, what people don't understand is that having these lightning lanes and these fast pass lanes actually make the ride times a little less doing it this way than the conventional way, which there's a lot of logistics involved in that I'm not going to get into. But my point to this story is that Disney, everything is done by money, right? You follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. And it's always a selling point. And I guess that's the way in every. If you're going to run a business, you've got to run it as lucrative as you possibly can with as low of overhead, right? So it's not anybody's guess that money is the root of everything, right? This system did cost a lot of money, and in the end, I don't know how lucrative it was for them, but the technology that they created from using this system is catamount or paramount to anything that they've ever done before, because this system is now implemented, and they have changed it. They changed it recently again, but they're always going to find ways to make money and to do things differently, right? There's not, I would say the ratio between like profit and actually making the experience better is about an 80-20, okay? But there was a little bit of there, let's make things better. But here's the kicker. As I go through these places and I'm looking around at the thousands and thousands and thousands of people there at these parks, getting on and off, looking at the structures, looking at the FastPass system, and then just doing research on it, and I just come to realize that every bit of this stuff was thought up by people to, I'll give you an example. They have these certain parades, right? Like you'll be walking through a theme park, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, this parade just shows up in the middle of the street, and they rope everything off, and you never know where it's going to show up at, right? Well, to the layman person that is there, it's like, wow, this is magical. There's a parade, but there's a reason behind that. See, there gets to a point where you have people monitoring these systems and all these people, and they get too many people in one area. What do? They throw up a parade for crowd control. They actually they'll separate the road. It was where they block the road off because there's just an influx of too many people, and they'll just throw a parade up in the middle of it, and it just stops traffic like a railroad train. And so then these people continue to move one way, and then you free up this traffic until it gets heavy on the other side, and then they do it over there. And they do this in every park. Now, that's genius, right? I mean, that's genius. But to a layman person, they don't understand that, and they're just thinking that this is just some kind of magic that Disney's throwing at them. But really, it's all about crowd control. So what I'm saying is every aspect of this park has been thought out, right? Everything down to the rides, the wait time. I'm talking about when you watch this hour-and-a-half documentary on wait times and the amount and effort and people that they put into this just to study wait times. Like I'm talking about on a quantum level, right? It's insane to think about. People like the crowd controls, the parades that pop up, and all of that is for a reason. All right, somebody studied all these things and they're like, how can we mitigate this? How can we do this? And to the layman person, you just think, oh, this is magic. I can't believe that. Oh, wow, wow, wow. No, let me tell you something. Every bit of that is completely, totally thought out. Every scenario has been jotted down on paper. Every think tank, every group has sat down and looked at every single aspect of it and brought up every single what if, and that was the best thing they could come up with. It was, this is what we're going to do here. Every single version of their FastPass or Lightning Pass was all created for a purpose, okay? It was created. Every strategically placed gift shop and the way that the rides are put in the parks and everything is completely studied and thought of way ahead of time. Every single dollar that's spent is mitigated and looked at and studied. Now, that's not common. I mean, that's not a no-brainer, right? Yeah, you're running a huge park like that. You got a lot of people. But my point to all this is, if Disney can do these things and they can pull them off, right? If Disney puts this much time and effort into all of these issues and solving people problems, okay, where do you think that our government is in this, right? I mean, I told you earlier about the DART program, right? Where we have people that are literally going to launch a 1,200-pound refrigerator-sized spacecraft that's going to slam into an asteroid, right? So I'm not trying to end on a bad note or anything, but just remember, and this goes for like the YouTube community strikes and everything else, but none of this stuff really matters, right? The only thing in life that matters is that you try to live and you live right. You try to live as a decent person, a God-fearing person with morals, values, respect, and respect other people. We don't want to be these idiot Seth Rogans that sit there and try to tell you that you shouldn't be grateful for the vehicle that you have and that shouldn't be an extension of your property. I mean, those kind of talking points are so moronic, to say the least, right? But there's nothing that I believe is going to happen that isn't already planned, all right? It's just the truth. I mean, of course there's things that pop up that nobody can control, but in the grand scheme of things, whenever you think about the Georgia Guidestones and depopulation and transhumanism and meta, Facebook's meta and all this stuff's going to roll out, all right? And we just have to pick sides, like where are we going to be at, Because in the end, somebody like Disney, who has literally turned over every rock and every stone to figure out every single thing and logistically be able to control hundreds of thousands of people and them not even know it, I mean, that's a major feat. So our taxpayer dollars are going to this very thing. How can they control us? How can they depopulate us? How can they do things, manipulate us, right, with psychology? How can they, we can tell them it is better to hate an entire group of people. Don't hate the individual, but hate the group. We need to project Thanksgiving as a horrible holiday. All of these things that fall in place. This is all a design. And it kind of sucks when you really think about it. When you get to the point where you understand that this is the design, right? So there it is. Disney opened up my eyes a lot to just like how logistically controlled that place is, right? And how logistically controlled are we in this system? Unfortunately, we're here and we have to be here and we have to play in this system, right? We have to do things, but as our society kind of crumbles, and believe me, it's going to crumble, just where are you going to be at, right? Like, we need to be able to identify the facts that this system is manipulated, right? I mean, they're trying to push us all the way to putting these video things on our heads and living inside an online reality. Right now, for people like my age group, right? Like, I'm not going to get involved in meta. I don't have any reason to do anything like that. But my kids are a different story, right? I mean, they're getting sucked into all this stuff without. I mean, like, it's almost impossible. And then the kids that are born without computers, they're getting sucked into this stuff. How do you stop that? I mean, I don't know how to stop it. I mean, how do you shut off this machine, right? I mean, we're tethered to our phones now, which is going to get worse. I plan on doing an episode on that. I've got some information about our phones and things they want to do in the future, and how they want to control us by that. But like, how do you get away from this? A wise friend of mine, I had dinner this evening with a wise friend of mine, and he said there's certain aspects of technology that once you achieve that aspect, you can't ever go back. And at first I was like, nah, I disagree with you. I don't think so. And he's like, no. He said, let me explain it to you this way. He's like, with the advent of power, he's like, think about electricity for a second, right? I said, okay. And he said, well, what happens if the power goes out and it doesn't come back on? I said, well, a lot of people are going to die, right? He's like, civilization will be ripped apart, right? And a lot of people will die because they don't know how to live without electricity, and it'll be, bring everything back to ground zero. He said, but that technology has already been created, right? So what would be the aftermath of bringing back a civilization, right? It would be electricity. And it kind of stunned me for a minute, because I thought, man, he's got a point here. When I think about this, for example, if the power was to be lost, and let's say that I was a survivor, right? Well, what would be my first priority as a survivor would be to get the power back on, right? So what he meant by that was that form of technology will never go away, right? As long as there's humankind, and as long as we have power, we will always strive to have power, right? It's not like you just lose power and a year later you can't ever get power back again. It's something that's going to be there, just like the invention of the wheel. As long as there is a circle, a physical circle shape, there's always going to be a way to roll things, That is an advent of technology that will never go away. And as long as we understand that we can make electricity, right, it's not going to go away. So that was a profound statement to me, and I appreciated that conversation, because I feel like the internet's almost the same thing. We're so connected to this. I don't think it's ever going away, Now, it's definitely transitioning and changing, yearly, but it's one of these technologies that I don't think is ever going to go away, but it certainly will be a test of time to get worse. But anyway, I think we had a good evening tonight. I've covered several things. I like more of having a more clear-cut, idea to talk about, and a lot of this stuff I had wrote down, but I got the main things out. There's so much more that we can talk about, and I'm planning on continuing to do one of these at least weekly, as long as I can. So help me grow this channel by sharing it and liking it, subscribing to it. I'll put it everywhere I can. Watch me go through my community downfall on YouTube, and we'll just continue to roll this ball forward. Also, don't forget to please go online and look up resetwars.com. You can find it on band.video or freeworldnews.tv. And you need to sign the waiting list, because there's some interesting stuff going on that I think that this community would like to be a part of. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for checking out this channel. And I will see you next week.